Gacha Games, getting a 5-star is a roller coaster of emotions. You see the gold light and your heart begins to beat faster, knowing that you risked your hard-earned currency to get a limited time character. Then the silhouette drops and you slowly get to see the moment you've been waiting all day for. And it's not even the character you wanted. But this isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes the standard banner characters in Gacha Games can be pretty good, and other times, they're Dehya. We started this series with Chi-Chi, and since we finished the guaranteed characters, we're gonna be dealing with the individuals that, quite literally, no one asked for. But before we get into the rules and anime opening, I would like to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, Opera GX. It's even better the 5th time! Opera GX is the browser for gamers that gives you the chance to customize your browsing experience in your own unique way. If you go to store.gx.me, you can look through the thousands of different mods to choose from. I'll use this one of Arlecchino dropping the hardest album cover of all time. These mods can include wallpapers, background music, keyboard sounds, opening and closing tab sounds, splash screens, custom fonts and icons, and shaders. There's also the video pop-out feature, which remains my go, because it's how I'm able to play Genshin for 8 hours at a time. I don't have to pay attention to the yapping because I can just watch YouTube. They also have AI integration with ChatGPT, which can help you with summarizing articles. But do not use this to cheat. That's not cool.
Hey dude, that's not cool.
If you want to leave your ex and get with the new, you can keep your history and settings with Opera by going over here to the gear icon, clicking synchronization, import bookmarks and settings, then hit import. You can download Opera today using the link in the description. Thanks again to Opera GX for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back into the challenge. Here are the rules. We can only use Dehya. All claymores are allowed, including 5 stars. I don't know why she even uses these because she's always punching people. And lastly, no glitches. Now let's see if we can beat Genshin Impact only using Dehya. We start our journey with some time travel.
Bazinga, 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 bazinga.
Back in 2023, around Fontaine's release, I settled on the idea of doing the Archons for the character challenges.
Who?
I had just made both Venti and Zhongli's account, and the next Archon to come out on banner was Farina. So I created that account, dropped a Benjamin, and spoilers for this 5-star, I did not get Farina. But hey, I'm an optimist, a glass half full kind of guy, so I saw this as another opportunity to make a series full of amazing characters. After all, I had just recorded Chi-Chi only, so surely it couldn't have gotten any worse than that, right? Let's just get this over with. The first obstacle in our run is Amber's dungeon, but Dehya was able to clear this area just fine by climbing an invisible box and dunking on the Pyro Monument. Next, we watch Kaya race against the concept of space itself and enter a domain. Dehya didn't struggle here. She cleared the long jump flawlessly and dropped another bomb on the crystal. But this area did serve as a little bit of foreshadowing for the problems to come. Even with us being 10 levels higher, hitting with Vaporize, and having a level 20 weapon, our skills still could not one-shot a Hilichurl. And you might be thinking, you're being too hard on her already. No, it's like this for every enemy. This percentage of damage will never be done to another enemy in this run.
Wonder about you.
Lastly, we had Lisa's Temple, where Dehya's athletics continue to grace her abilities, but sadly no dunk here. Instead, I have no idea what she's doing here. Finishing Act 1 of Mondstadt and also signaling a break for me.
Take care.
Up to this spot, I had recorded all of this in 2023, but I decided to stop here because I had just finished Chi-Chi's challenge and my heart could not take any more of this.
Oh, goody.
A bad 5-star character.
Again. When am I gonna get
To play a good character.
So I decided to go ahead and do the no damage challenge and go for mid with Kali instead, abandoning this piece of filth until November of 24. I had finished all of the guaranteed characters at the time and decided to do the standard banner 5 stars before the Archons. During the time of November to December, I completed 3 challenges: Dehya, Mona, and Kachina. Piss, and a 4-star meal. But let's go back to the piss for now.
Me too, man.
What the f***? Let's talk about this character while we grind up to Act 2. I'm gonna start with the positives because there's not much to go off of at the moment. This character gets better, but it's gonna take a minute. We are not there yet, and when she does better, I will talk about it, okay?
We get there when we get there.
As of now, Dehya's positives are exploring and her normal attacks. Dehya has a pyro vision, which allows her to access specific chests, and her passive makes her move faster in the day. And you can bet your ass that I would specifically change the time of day just to move around fast, because that would mean I could get this challenge done quicker. Plus, she's tall muscle woman, so she's faster than most of the cast, and she has abs. Neuron activation. Her normal attacks are the last good thing about her for now, because 1, I like the punch she does at the end. She just gets right in there, just gives him the knuckle sandwich. But the main reason I'm mentioning the normal attacks is because Claymore attacks do more damage to shields, since they are considered blunt damage, meaning that they are delivering some serious blunt force trauma to these poor creatures. Now it's time for the negatives. Oh god, where do I begin? Get ready for some slander, because right now, this character is not good.
That's slander.
It is not.
We're gonna start small with something petty. This character's voice lines make me irrationally angry, both in and out of combat. Outside of combat, this character does not shut the fuck up about the desert.
To the desert life, in the desert on it's in the desert. The desert.
Alright, I get it!
As for during combat, the lines either don't make sense or they are just corny. And I'm okay with corny. I was born on the cob, but this is just bad. Playtime's over. You're dead meat. Gloves off. You asked for it?
Dude, are you 5?
Yeah, 5 inches deep in your bum.
Buckle up? Why would I buckle up? Where are we going? There's not a car here. Are you taking me to a better character? Please? Even if we don't take this literally, the phrase buckle up implies that there is something wild about to happen. And I have to ask, what? Because there's nothing crazy about this skill. This ability sucks. The dunk part of the skill is really fun, but that's the only thing I like about it.
From the top rope. God damn.
It doesn't do much damage, and it has a fairly long cooldown, but to counter the cooldown, you get to use it again for double damage, which sounds great.
Wow. What a deal.
But it doesn't do any damage to begin with. This ability also does a coordinated attack with you. Just imagine Oz, but he has to wait almost 3 seconds to attack. But these aren't what the ability is designed for. No. Dia's identity is not centered around damage, shields, elemental reactions, or anything like that. No. It's about interruption resistance.
Are you f***ing kidding me?
When this field is up, we have damage mitigation and increased resistance to interruption, which is cool and all, but it kind of reminds me of something. Do you know who else provides mitigation and increased resistance to interruption? Shields. Why in the ass would I ever want this over a shield? Imagine if we were having a conversation and whenever I started talking, you kept punching me in the face. Now, I'm not flinching, but you can still see blood swelling. It might make me look tough, but I'm f***ing dying. This ability takes a portion of the damage mitigated and deals that to Dehya, which is pretty bad in a solo run, especially because these abilities burn the grass. Sometimes the damage done to myself is bigger than that done to an enemy. How did we even get to this point? And what is this description? The art of Dehya's own invention? What the f*** is this thing? Lastly, we have the burst. And truth be told, it's not terrible for this run. Dehya cast aside her inconvenient blade. Okay, this is inconvenient, but the ability that damages you isn't. And she takes off her non-existent gloves to start punching the enemies, then finishing with her standing on business. I like this burst, I really do.
Boom, 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 boom. Hiya!
But it has two major flaws that blow all logic. The first is auto-targeting. This ult does not follow normal melee logic. It follows its own. You cannot use this burst against an enemy so long as there is a structure close, because this burst finds a target and stays on it. Dashing away isn't even an option because the burst punches so fast that it automatically turns you around. This makes me even wonder if they played this character before releasing, and I found out the answer to that question with the burst's second problem. If you jump, the burst ends. If you ever thought that the devs at Hoyoverse do not play their own game, this is one of the biggest pieces of evidence out there. I genuinely don't know how this even came to be, because it can't be a bug. They really implemented this into the game. But at least our Ascension passive makes us take less damage from the damage that we are already doing to ourselves. Why can't I just have a shield? But I want shields.
You're getting resistance!
And speaking of Ascension, we're using a Sumerian character, so we don't get the privilege of having a teleport over to Fontaine or Natland. Nope, we gotta run our tall ass all the way over to Sumeru.
But wait! There's more!
Because we have to go into the desert. Are you happy, Dehya? We're finally in the desert. Go grab you some Sangre's poopas. I didn't even bother fighting the enemies here. I'm tired, so I just bought the headbands from Paimon's store. Greedy little bastard can't even help us out. It's not like we already share money. We ascended Dehya and our Fairest Shadow up to level 40, then started Act 2 of Mondstadt, 10 minutes away from 5 hours, which is slower than Chi-Chi. This quest begins with our skill hitting for less damage than our normal attacks, and finishing off the Eye of the Storm by actually dunking on him. Okay, Dehya, I'll give you credit for that. Next, we had the Fatui hideout, and Dehya actually one-shot an enemy? What? Impossible. Could it be that I was wrong? I've never had this feeling before. Well, actually, if you pull up the replay, you'll see that the reaction one-shotted, but not the ability itself.
Nobody's smart but me!
The hideout ends with a battle between the Fatui agent and Dehya, where the most anime moment out of any of these challenges occurred as the agent and Dehya both charge up an attack and at the same time hit each other. But of course, only one came out on top. The Ruin Guard is next, and after Dehya stands on business, we have another anime moment as both of them start another attack at the same time. But Dehya found a new way to win this interaction.
Your mother and I are getting a divorce.
You are?
Yes! Yes! Oh, no, we worked it out.
And by the way, this is the current damage high. Do not expect anything big from this character damage-wise. We make our way over to the second tier, which brings an interesting question. If it's raining during daytime hours, does Dehya still get the movement speed bonus from sun-lit way? Well, let's find out. Or never mind, because now the rain goes away. Why? Act 2 ends with another anime moment, but sadly not one of the cooler ones. This was the filler Sunshine Goodness Beach episode, where we try to give Miyuki a bath. Act 3 of Mondstadt makes us punch Venti's pet, and Dehya did her damnedest to beat the shit out of this dog. She was hitting it so hard that she nearly fell down from the impact of her own punches. No one phase here, sadly, but if the second phase had anything to learn from, it would be that we very much needed the burst here. Dehya finishes Mondstadt after 6 hours and 15 minutes, which is a little on the slower side, but she was AR 20 at the time of finishing.
It's okay, Rocky. You go when you feel like.
So to celebrate, we did a couple of wishes, and even with 2 back-to-back 4-star weapons, we didn't get a claymore. What the fuck? We then grinded some more, only to be met with 2 more 4 stars that still weren't even claymores. To finish up the XP required for Leeway, we went on another journey into the Sumerian desert so we could fight Dehya's boss. I have more to say about the algorithm of semi-intransient matrix of Overseer Network's name than I do for the fight itself. Dehya just kind of brute forces this fight because it can't really hurt us, and even though it goes invisible, all it takes is for us to swing at the air until we eventually hit something, then it's just back to business. There's not a single thought going on in that head. Once we hit AR 23, we started the Leeway Archon quest at almost 8.5 hours, which is actually really good. She's only a half hour behind Bennett. Oh my god, she's only a half hour behind Bennett. Wait, is this character good? No, it can't be. Act 1 starts out with some of the most fun I've had in a quest. We just started swinging everywhere. It didn't matter who it was. She even knocked out some random treasure hoarders. They aren't even a part of the quest. She just did that. Next, we had the mountain, where we had a very brief encounter with a Pyro Abyss mage. Then we ran up the hill to break some rocks. Do you mind? We were kind of having a moment here. New ship alert! Dehya and Lee Dong? La Dehya? Eat your heart out, Dehya fans.
Rex Lapis. Assassinated? At the rite of dissension?
Following the voice line that people actually got mad at me for not including last time.
Rex Lapis.
Can't be dead.
At the rite of dissension?
Cannot be dead.
We had Cloud Retainer's Domain, where I seriously considered activating the Pyro Pillar because of this performance. Lastly, we had Wong Shuin, and I promise on everything that the only reason this little shit escaped was because it was nighttime. Race me again in the sun, I dare you.
You're a beta male.
Dehya.
The Ruin Hunter fight ended with a new damage high of 600 and Dehya bunting the enemy to death. Shout out to the debate club for the last hit there. After roughly an hour, we ascended both our debate club and Dehya.
I think I'll be able to hit quite a bit harder with my sword now.
Oh! I thought it was inconvenient. But Dehya herself does do more damage with this ascension because we end the AR 25 domain with a new damage high of
9, 11.
Trying to close to the camera? Well, how are the people going to hear me?
Leeway Act 2 begins with a Pyro Pot, and Dehya is able to do this. It's just weird. Her skill takes a while to heat this up, so I decided to use my burst, and yeah, I have no idea what she's doing, but it still worked because, of course it did. This move is so stupid. We warm up the last section of the stove with our burst aiming correctly this time. I give up trying to understand this ability. We're moving on. Next, we had the teapot, and I quite enjoyed this area because near every kill in here involved punching, except for the end where she decided to dunk on the cryo slime. Lastly, for Act 2, we had the treasure hoarders who were trying to avenge their friends from earlier, but sadly for them, they met the same fate. To grind up to AR 28, we went back into Sumeru, but not into the desert this time. Shut up. We went inside the talent domain to get some books. At close to the 15-hour point, we began Leeway Act 3 at the Animo device. Dehya didn't even try. She gave it a love tat, then summoned another cat girl to help her. Paimon then says a line that, honestly, I'm surprised Dehya doesn't have.
I said it. I said that.
Joe, stop it! You will never be Troy!
And I came to a realization here. This footage was recorded back in November of 24, but I did the Natland portion of this challenge literally like 2 weeks ago. So I was very confused with how often she was getting her burst here, because, spoilers, I had a lot of problems with that later. And that's when I realized we aren't getting a lot of pyro particles. We are auto-attacking so much that we are getting the base energy particles very quickly. We then grabbed the piece of paper from the Fatui right in front of their faces, and now they notice us?
Psh! Can't catch this! Later, you bourgeois sucker!
As punishment for being caught, they make us sing to some flowers. Following that, we had one of the unluckiest moments I've ever had because I somehow drowned in front of the Child fight.
Man, I cannot catch a break.
The next fight in Act 3 is against Child, and rewatching this fight was honestly very funny for me. Because of our interruption resistance, we just kept running at him and hitting him in the face, because that's just what Dehya does. She doesn't deal much damage, so she's going to kill you later rather than sooner. This fight also reiterates the point that I made earlier about energy particles, because it took the entire entire fight for us to get our burst back.
You asked for this. Yeah.
To end leeway, we had to fight some Fatui agents, and even with the backshot barrage, Madam Ping decided to help us in the best way possible, because the delays on the shockwaves are timed perfectly to where our punch will always kill them. Yes, it took this long, but we finally killed something in one punch, man.
Say that again?
Dehya finishes leeway in 15.5 hours, which is kinda blowing Chi-Chi out of the water if I'm being honest.
I'm like, what do you say f me for?
Barbara got a slower time than me, and she had to spend 100 for a weapon.
Say f that.
Dane Act 1 has us fight 3 Pyro Mages, but I'm not gonna complain about this.
You son of a...
Because Dehya does pretty well against them. These Claymore users do not fuck with shields. It is a pretty intense rivalry. Dane Act 2 is next, and there's actually a lot to say here, but I'm not gonna do it in this video. Now, I know it seems like a cop-out. They changed a lot in this quest, but I want to discuss it in the Mona video, because I think it would be more relevant there, and I don't want to repeat it for 2 videos in a row. This is now the second time that I've hyped something up for the Mona video, but I promise it'll be worth it, because that character is ass. Before Inazuma, we have the J-Chamber quest, which brought out a variety of emotions. At the beginning, I was laughing my ass off because we sent this hilly churl fucking flying. Oh my god, he's back in Brazil. Shout out to my Brazilians. But at the end, Hoyo robbed me of a punch kill because the blunt made Based vanish in thin air. But I swear, she still had health left. Look at the bar. I got cheated.
It's not too late. Yes, it is.
I do want to play a little game here. I'm gonna say some lines, and I want you to guess and see if Dehya actually says them or not. Playtime's over. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. I done messed up.
Kill yourself!
Yo, are you good, Dehya? Inazuma begins with us ascending Dehya and making a new Claymore. Yes, I said making because we still did not get a 4-star Claymore. That's not the Rain Slasher.
I'll do it myself.
Once we arrive on the mainland, our prototype Archaic proves its worth by hitting a new damage high of 1613. But Dehya does not take this lightly because she casts aside her inconvenient blade to hit these enemies for 1.5k. Next we hit the prison where we really get to see Dehya's burst shine because this ult is great against groups of enemies. These punches will almost always stagger them, and since we immediately follow up on our strikes, they stay stun locked until they're dead. I never would have thought that I'd be talking about CC for Dehya of all characters.
Great job, team. You've uncovered a deal where ordering from Little Caesars unlocks awesome Call of Duty Black Ops 6 in-game rewards.
Act 2 makes us demonstrate our archery techniques, and I'll be honest, I don't think Dehya's pulling a Michael Jordan here. The final act of Inazuma starts out rough for us, as Dehya was not able to successfully recreate her anime moment earlier. She failed the clash. We then had the Electro Monument, but the art of Dehya's invention was still not enough to activate these. Your art sucks, Dehya! Following whatever the hell that was, we had the Delusion Factory, and why does this character kinda do damage right now? I mean, some of it got blocked because we got stuck on the floorboard. Yes, this held back Dehya burst, but Dehya is starting to take this seriously, and even the Great Sword locked in because its passive crit for a new damage high of 2823.
Your mommy teach you that?
Yes, by design, it did quite literally teach it that. After giving 6 guys severe concussions, we had to battle Senora. Even though I was just glazing the damage, this marks the point in which Dehya's skill starts to take a dip in damage. I already talked about how weak it was, but you can still see in some clips that it does okay.
I don't know.
But now, we're starting to get close to where it's just the Archaic and the burst.
Get out! Get out of this house! I said no!
And the burst isn't even that useful in this fight because of the pyro resistance. Our normal attacks now do more damage because of it.
Boom! That was for Venti.
Inazuma ends with the main event, and Dehya's opponent in the red corner.
The reigning, defending, two-time WBO welterweight champion of the world,
The almighty Raiden Shogun and the Muso no Hitotachi.
Where Dehya got a buff damage high of 3855. I told you earlier to not expect high damage numbers, and I mean it. Believe me when I tell you from this point on, this character is not touching the 4k damage range. I'm telling you the damage fall off has arrived, but something else is about to come up and help redeem that.
Nosferatu.
Even with these embarrassingly low numbers, boom! Dehya finished Inazuma with a great time of 21 hours. The next quest for us to do is in the Chasm, where we continue to see the downfall of our skill damage and lack of energy recharge. Just to put this into perspective, once the Hydro Herald used his shield, we pressed our burst, and after 3 minutes, this is how many particles we had. Dehya still puts up a good fight, even with basically no pyro application, because these shields cannot stand the girth of these attacks. When we end the Dane quest, Dehya delivers a leg drop from the top rope. Then we get to the part that all the Dehya heads have been waiting for. After ascending our weapon to 70, we also ascend our Dehya, which gives her a new passive. The deniers have been dreading this moment since the beginning. This new passive is called Stalwart and True. Just use loyal Hoyleverse.
That lack of reciprocity led me to feel ambivalent towards the situation.
Hey, you a poet!
Apprehension. Oh, they're gonna love me. Astronomical.
This passive is genuinely one of the best passives you could have in a solo run. Actually, if we're putting this on a passive tier list, this might take the top spot. This talent just makes it to where we basically cannot die. If we get below half, we just get our health back. Like, all of it back. And since this character already has high base HP, we're now looking at a HP stat of 22,000. Following the ascension, we evaporate a Bigichurl with our hand, then start Sumeru before the 24-hour mark. Before the 24-hour mark, she's doing better than LeBron. She's 10 minutes behind Bennett. This can't be happening. I need to lie down. I actually do. I think I'm starting to get lightheaded. We begin Sumeru with a pretty monumental moment because for the first time in this challenge, we did our charge attacks. Yeah, these are, pretty bad. I thought about including it in the negative section earlier, but I didn't have any footage for it because I never used them. Act 1 ends with, "I'll hate them." And I think there's just something about the desert in this game that makes everyone cornballs, because we have missed playtimes over and Tariq saying he's gonna turn us into fish food. Who talks like this? Who do you think you are?
You're not Kobe, you're not LeBron! You're a regular from down the street!
Our burst also just kept him in a wall and made him do a funny dance. Act 2 starts with Diazard, but I gotta be honest, I think Ladea low-key diffs this couple. Dehya is just staring way too hard at her. This guy's giving me the creeps. Act 3 of Sumeru continues Dia's journey on the Cobb alongside some enemy Rift Wolves who try to hurt us with corrosion damage. You fool. I already damaged myself. I'm pretty confident in saying that our skill has done more damage to us as a whole than all the enemies we've encountered combined.
This place is practically deserted.
You're not gonna guess where we are. Act 4 begins by supporting my theory of the desert folk being mawkish. Yeah, that was a thesaurus moment right there. I'm not even gonna hide it. We even had a tumbleweed here. The aura farming is crazy. Next, we had the Dendro Pillars, where the sun properly guided our path without any failures. Then we made our way over to the pyramid.
It's beautiful.
Rahman then threatens to take one of Dehya's gloves off, and we finally enter the pyramid. And I guess I'll use this time to show you guys the build. This is mainly meant for our physical attacks because that's what we're doing most of. We still got some HP scaling for the main stats since that's what our skills need, but most of the stock is invested towards the prototype Archaic. When you hit harder than your inconvenient blade, then maybe I'll help you out more. Act 5 begins with Deja Vu from the Kachina video. Again, how is she faster than me? Why did they program it this way? Is the sunlight stronger on her than me?
What is going on here?
Act 5 is important for us because it marks a new change in my mentality going forward. That being, I was going to stop thinking. In the past, while attacking, I would still dodge attacks out of habit, but after close to 30 hours of Dehya, I finally adapted to just getting hit and dealing with it. The brain was off, my mouth was open, and drool was pouring out, as I just kept attacking without even worrying about the damage, because we were gonna get healed right back up anyway. She even gave some back shots to the Geofatui agent. It should have been me. She also got a new damage high of 4k damage, which means that I was wrong, but come on, it was only by 29. Going into the factory, I had basically the same mindset. Brain off, punch thing. It made me feel like an orc. We did have another anime moment with our old rival, the Fatui agent, because we punched him so hard that he did the anime nosebleed spin. The Scara boss fight was a race. I tried to just stand still like normal and let him get us to low health, but he couldn't do that because of our passive, so I just said f it and started punching him till either we died or he died, which resulted in us coming out on top with over half our health. This passive is so broken for these runs. Once we made it to the turrets, Dehya was actually able to break all of them because both our burst and skill are able to hit them all the way up there. I know I shouldn't be surprised because our burst was still hitting the cooking pot while we returned around, but this character continues to amaze me. Dehya was not able to finish the robot on the platform, but when we dropped down, she punched it in its big toe to end the battle. Lastly, in Act 5, we had the floating islands, and this Electro Biggie Troll just ignored almost all of our punches. He literally just walked it off. What is he made of?
I'm absorbing his blows like I was made of some kind of spongy material.
So finally in Sumeru, we lit the bonfire with the art of our own invention, which Paimon really seemed to appreciate.
Your cooking is as good as ever.
We then worked our way up to AR-40, faster than you could say algorithm of semi-intransient matrix of overseer network. I didn't think it would take almost 2 hours to say that, but nevertheless, we started Fontaine Act 1 with our Dehya getting robbed because of the night.
It's nighttime. Boy, you said it.
On everything, she could have done this if it was daytime. I'd put my child's college fund on that. During Act 2, I made an oopsie because I forgot to record the first half of this domain, so I had to restart it to get footage for you all. We had a pretty funny moment here with fall damage though, because we fell down like 3 stories and immediately healed that damage back up. Could you imagine if that happened to you in real life? You think you're dead and then you blink and nothing happened. Fontaine also carries another significant Act 5 for Dehya in this challenge. We have now reached the point where our skill does no damage. We've come full circle. In the beginning, we had to use our skill for everything and had no survivability. Then towards the middle, it was perfectly balanced, but now at the end, we only have the survivability. And I mean only. Look at us just run through a Ruin Guard spin while also struggling to kill it with our burst. Act 5 ends with the whale, with Dehya giving one of the most brutal punches I've seen in this run. This punch brought him to his knees, and we didn't even have Nouvelette's help here. This hit was all Dehya. To conclude Fontaine's Archon quest, we had to fight a Crow Herald with one of the coldest names I've seen, Witness to Destiny's Inception.
Chills.
I know the person who named this was not the same one who did Dehya's boss. I was actually looking forward to this fight because I wanted to see how fast our burst would have shredded his shield, but unfortunately for me, we couldn't get our burst. It all worked out in the end though, because our Claymore attacks continue to dunk on all of the elemental shields. To begin that lane, we do one last bit of time traveling to the 9th of February because this is what I did all day after the Kachina video. Act 1 introduces the Abyssal Pylon gimmick to Dehya, which can either be great or terrible for her. In this situation, it was great because our skill burns the grass, allowing for the shield to be broken extremely quickly. Act 2 takes us underground to the Dragon Ruins, and it's pretty funny seeing us get jumped by 4 creatures in a fight, but come out of it with more health than we had going into it. This character is so dumb. We even stood on business with a Geo Biggie Churl and knocked him into the air. I have not seen an enemy get airtime like that since the Tornado Uppercut! Lastly, in Act 2, we had Malko, and even though he deliberately tried to sabotage my gaming experience, our passive still carried us through this area. Sit the fuck down. Act 3 starts out in the most me way possible, and I'm saying that just because of this luck. Look at it. We have rain to create vaporize, but after using one ability, it went away. Oh, come on!
Oh, come on!
Act 4 serves as the finale for this story, more or less, and boy, is there a lot to talk about. I kept mentioning earlier how Dehya was surprising me constantly throughout this run, and that's because you hear about how terrible this character is pretty often in the community.
I'd rather put my balls in a crocodile's mouth while shoving my head up a unicorn's asshole!
But now that we've made it to this world level, guys, I think Dehya is starting to fall off. Look at our burst. What did they do to you? The real meat of Act 4 is the war. More specifically, the Abyssal Pylons and the Mimics. I mentioned earlier how pylons can be great for Dehya, and that's true if there's grass nearby to burn the shields. But if there's not any, it's GG, pack it up. Our skill is terrible against these things on their own. Look at this damage. This is with 2 hits, both parts of our skill. These shields can only be damaged by elemental hits, but the quantity of hits takes priority over quality. So surely our burst would be good against them, right? Well, about that, our burst has a couple of issues. One being that they do not target the pylons. Yeah, the one time we need our burst to hit a structure, it prioritizes the enemies. You can't make this up. Oh, I jumped. I forgot. My burst canceled for that. Who designed this character? The burst is our only hope against Mimic shields, but they don't even do a quarter of their health. It's better than the skill, but the problem is that we barely use our burst because hitting them with our skill doesn't give us any particles. This one section with the Mimics took almost 20 minutes, and the Secret Source Automaton Hunter Seeker was even able to destroy Dehya through her passive twice in this fight. This battle with the robot is probably a contender for one of the least fun fights I've ever done. Worse than Kachina Crow Gunner, worse than Dendro Goku versus Crow Gunner, and it's starting to feel worse than Lisa versus Aleph. Yes, it's almost that bad because we can't do anything to them. I can't even bring them over to the grass because our allies keep getting the robot's attention, and even when he notices me, he just tries to shoot me. Quit trying to shoot me. Pull up. We got him to 1 HP, but we couldn't even finish him off because he got his shield back up for a 3rd time. But even with these struggles, the 4th act ends with Dehya getting a damage high of 55k. No, that's Malwika. Natalie campaign actually ends with us and Vishama, and here I would like to formally apologize to anything I might have said negative about Vishama, because without him and his Dendro Boomerang, I believe that this fight against the Mimics could have actually taken over half an hour. But since he's able to apply grass onto the enemy, we didn't have to suffer. Thank you, Vishama. I hope you rest in peace along with your 1,931 countrymen for helping us finish Natlan. And after 49 hours, 20 minutes, and 43 seconds, we beat Genshin Impact only using Dehya. So, this character did a lot better than I expected. I had never played Dehya before starting since I only got her on my main account during the anniversary of last year. I had only heard bad things about her, so I was going in with a pretty negative mindset. And after having done this, I can say that some of that hate is justified, but not all of it. The hate obviously stems from how well she does in proper teams during the late game, and if my damage late game is anything to go off of, I can definitely see why people do not like her. But for a solo character challenge, she did very good. Good, in fact. She was only a couple minutes behind Bennett. This character is just an unstoppable train. It's not gonna one-shot anybody, but there's no one that's gonna stop her. So let's see how this train works in the ratings machine. For damage, I'm gonna go with a 3. The reason she gets a 3 is because her skill is weak, the normals are good, and the burst can be very strong. I usually do damage highs as a single number, which isn't fair to Dehya since her burst actually does a lot of damage when you tally up all the hits. But I told my math teachers in school that I'm never gonna use math in real life, so I'm gonna stick to that. I'm sorry, Dehya. The Claymore hits were the only thing keeping this character together since the skill really holds this character back. And although the dunk is fun to use, we just aren't hitting for much overall, and there's very limited energy recharge with this. For exploration, I'll give her a 4. Tall woman, fast, speed boost in the sun, and pyro for totems, easy 4. This is great. Sustain, okay, I'm gonna give her a 4. I'm not doing a 5 because I have to take into account my experience before getting the passive, and with that experience, I dealt with my skill doing more damage to me than the enemy and burning, so these chains are gonna hold her back from a 5. Bosses, I think I'm gonna go with a 3. It's nice knowing that we can't die in a fight, but it does take her a while to deal with them. These battles are just endurance tests. However, it is nice knowing that I can just turn my brain off. Lastly, for ability/utility, Dehya earns herself another 3. This section gets pretty carried by her passive. The skill is a shield without the shield, and the ult does damage, but it's just damage. If our skill gave more energy, then she could probably get a 4, but in those one-on-one fights against elite enemies, we can definitely feel the lack of energy recharge, so it can't go higher. I've already talked plenty about the passive, so I don't think that needs any more glazing. Overall, Dehya gets a 20 out of 25, giving her an A, and the second highest score out of any character, while ending with an unbuffed damage high of 4k and a buff damage high of 3.8k. No, this is not backwards, she just didn't get a higher number when fighting Scar.
The soup is cold and the salad is hot. How is that even possible?
Dehya really stood on business and has proved everyone wrong, including me. We were the ones who got dunked on. The deniers did not stand strong with this video.
Go to hell, dumbass.
I will say this though, had this challenge gone on with Sneznaya or any possible extension, I think she could have performed much worse. This character likes to snowball, but she definitely slowed down towards the end. She finished this run almost 5 hours behind Venti when there was only a 1 hour gap between them at the beginning of Sumeru, so she was definitely starting to slip.
Look at him joke!
I still can't believe that Dehya now has the second highest rating, and I was so wrong going into this challenge with her. I'm still not calling her like good or great because she does have problems, but this character's kit like almost perfectly aligns with what I'm looking for in the ratings for a solo character. I honestly believe this character might be better for solo runs than actual team comps. But even though I was wrong about this character,
I was wrong to treat you that way. I'm sorry.
I promise you that for the next character, there will be nothing worse than her.
Tell me why I'm here and